let's have a talk real quick. We're going to get to Abby Johnson, pro-life advocate Abby Johnson, in a couple minutes. I just wanted to have a talk, just you and me. I am guilty of something. You are guilty of something. And I don't want you to feel bad about yourself. I don't feel bad about myself. I just want us to be aware of this something so we can fight against it. What is that something? We talk about and we think about what someone else tells us to talk about and think about when it comes to the issues of the day. And oftentimes, whatever that thing is, isn't even close to being one of the most important issues of the day. You want a couple examples? This is just from today. And I'm not insulting anyone. I'm not insulting any of these publications. Many of them I like, but these are the headlines. You want to know what it is? Liz Cheney. New Speaker Mike Johnson is dangerous because of January 6th support. There's another one. Representative Ken Buck won't run for re-election, criticizing the GOP's election denialism. House Republicans will help kill effort to censure Rashida Tlaib. Embattled New York Representative George Santos wins House vote to avoid expulsion. Nancy Pelosi announces on the House floor she was served with a subpoena reportedly related to a case in which her husband was assaulted by a hammer-wielding home invader. Hawley sparks McConnell battle over push to gut Citizens United ruling. Now, I'm actually not going to sit here and tell you that those issues are unimportant. I'm really not. Obviously, the Speaker of the House and what's going on in the House and Washington, D.C., and all these things, they matter. Who's running for president, things like this matter. They do. But there are so many gigantic battles, not only that we should be fighting, battles we can be winning, but because they go right by us and we never talk about them, we focus on these huge things that, frankly, you, me, can't do much about. Can you do much about Mitch McConnell and Josh Hawley's little peeing match in the Senate? Can you do anything about Nancy Pelosi and Paul Hammerpants? Can you do anything about any of these things? No, not really much. But if you live in Ohio, my goodness, do you have a much more important battle on your hands? How many people watching right now? And you heard me lament this earlier about the Texas election. I think it was last night's show where I was talking about how I voted in the Texas election. We have important elections going on right now and nobody's voting. If you live in Ohio, how many people watching me right now? They have a Trump bumper sticker or a DeSantis bumper sticker, and they talk about Republicans. Yes, I love this country. Go America. How many of them are going to go out and be actually pro-lifers at the ballot box? Because that battle's happening, and it's happening right now, and the forces of evil intend to win it. Forces of evil like this pastor.
As a pastor, I've counseled families on the most important personal decisions, even abortion. Abortion is a private family decision. Government needs to stay out of family decision-making. That's what issue 1 is all about. It gives families the freedom to make their own decisions without judgment and without the government getting involved. Vote yes.
Yeah. Judgment Day is going to be harder for some than others. Just put it out there. Joining me now, Abby Johnson, former Planned Parenthood director, and now maybe the premier pro-life advocate in the country. I love Abby Johnson. Abby, first of all, let's set aside that demon masquerading as a pastor for a moment. What's happening in Ohio? Why should people get involved?
Yeah, so what's happening in Ohio is really important because I believe that this is going to set the stage for the rest of the country. What's happening in Ohio will eventually spread all across America. So right now, this is not just, a bill that's going to be passed. This is not just some statutory language that's going to go in a bill. This is a constitutional amendment that Ohio is voting on. So people need to understand that. If this goes through, this changes their state constitution. Okay, so that means it cannot just be undone by the legislature later. This is a very serious vote. So people need to be aware of that. This is the most serious change you can make to your state, is changing the state constitution. So basically what this does is it makes abortion a constitutional right in the state of Ohio. And there's a few things to note in the language. It's incredibly vague. Okay.
Of course.
That's exactly why. That's exactly how I know that somebody from the pro-abortion movement wrote this bill, because this is how we wrote bills. So when I was at Planned Parenthood, you intentionally write them vague so that there's no timeline, right? Because they want to be able to commit abortions through all 9 months of pregnancy. And you'll see that when you look at the amendment, there's no gestational minimum or maximum, okay? The other thing that you'll notice if you look at the amendment, and one place that people should go where you can actually see what is written in the bill, the amendment, you can see the text, you can go to seethelanguage.com, and you can see everything is written up there. You can see what all of this means. The first thing I noticed, though, Jesse, when I looked at the amendment, was that the language is genderless. Okay, this is a bill particularly about abortion, but it is genderless. There is no pronouns. There's no she, her, or him pronouns. There is no mention about women, even though it is women who get pregnant, is women who have abortions. There is no mention of gender. Why? Because this is also an amendment to open up gender transition surgery without parental consent, taxpayer funded. People need to understand why this bill is so vague, why it's so ambiguous, because it sets the state up to transition children, for children to have abortions, all without their parents' knowledge, all with the citizens of Ohio paying for these surgeries.
Good freaking grief. Abby, okay, Ohio is a red state now. It's not even a purple state anymore. It's a red state now. How is this even an option? What happened?
Well, the pro-abortion movement has a lot of money, and they are not scared to lie. Okay. So one of the things that happened, I have a staff member that lives in Ohio. She sends me this commercial, okay, of this couple who, they put out this commercial. This pro-abortion group puts out this commercial with this couple. Their baby had a fetal abnormality, and the commercial states that this couple was unable to terminate her pregnancy in the state of Ohio. So she had to go across state lines to get an abortion. Now, when I first saw the commercial, I was like, that's a lie. Because currently in the state of Ohio, there is exemptions for women who are in a life-threatening condition, which she said that her life was on the line. So if her life was on the line, then she would have been able to have an abortion in the state of Ohio. So either she's lying or her life wasn't on the line. Okay. The second thing she said was that it was so expensive that she had to pay all this money and that Planned Parenthood had to help her fund her abortion. Well, what we found out was that this woman was a state employee. She's a state employee. So that means she was on the state insurance, and the state insurance will pay for an abortion. So there was no reason that her abortion wouldn't have been covered. So this whole commercial is a complete lie, but they are turning this woman's tragedy into propaganda, to lie to people, to manipulate them, and to basically coerce them into voting for something that they actually don't want, but they're just manipulating them for a vote.
Abby, I'm going to ask you a question. It may be vague, I don't know, but you know so much more about this than most people do. You said the abortion industry has a lot of money. Why? Where does that come from? Who loves abortion to the point that they stroke gigantic checks to make sure the abortion industry is funded as well as it does? Where does this money come from?
Well, I mean, the largest donor to the abortion industry is the American taxpayer. So we are all unwillingly giving up, our money to the abortion industry. They received, over $500 million last year of our tax money. But aside from us, the single private donor to Planned Parenthood is Warren Buffett. And he gives somewhere close to $40 million a year to help low-income women, so see minority women, primarily all minority women, have abortions. So he is a population control guy. So this is just eugenics on the table for everybody to see. He's essentially saying, I want to help eradicate the minority community. I want to eradicate the impoverished community. I want to, zap them out of existence because we don't have a need for them. They're not useful to us. They're draining our economy. They're draining our society, and they're not valuable to us. And so it's better to kill them. And he is putting his money where his mouth is by funding the abortion industry and funding these women to kill their children.
Jeez. Okay, you said the largest funder is the American taxpayer. I bet that was quite a kick in the face to a lot of people, myself included. Don't get me wrong, I knew we did it, but the largest, how are we funding it?
It's federal dollars through your paycheck, through the taxes you pay every year, the taxes that are withheld every time you get your paycheck and that money is taken out. Part of that is going to Planned Parenthood. And, I would like to tell you that when we have a Republican president, that decreases, but that's not true. Every year, the amount increases. It increased through Trump. No matter who the president is, Trump gave more through his 4 years than Obama did. Does the president have the power to pull some of this funding? Yeah, he absolutely does. Do they ever pull it? No, they don't.
Jeez. Okay. All right. Forget about the scumbag politicians in both parties. The American people, are we starting to win back on this issue? I understand that we are behind the eight ball. We have Roe versus Wade, 50 years of women being told, just kill them all and let God sort them out. So I know we're behind, but are we gaining ground at least?
I think so. But I think we've got to really, I think you're right. We are behind. I think strategically we're behind, but I think there are, many of us who are trying to gain some of that ground back. But look, they have beaten us when it comes to this narrative. They have convinced women, they've convinced young women that being single, that not being a mom is the cool thing to do, that is the attractive thing, that's the sexy thing. We should be hands down winning this fight. We should be hands down winning this argument. There are almost 4 times as many pregnancy centers as there are abortion clinics. In any other industry, in any other enterprise, if your competition had 4 times as many open centers, they would be winning. Right? They'd be putting you out of business. But we're not doing that because we haven't, just to be honest, we have not sold our product well. What is their product? Their product is abortion. Their product is death. What is our product? Our product is life. Our product is significantly better than their product, but we haven't done a good job of selling it. And, we haven't done a good job of convincing people that choosing life is ultimately going to be the best decision for you. And choosing death is going to haunt you for the rest of your life. And so we've got to get in front of that 8 ball. We've got to get in front of it. We've got to start changing that narrative. And I think there are groups like mine and others that are, we are partnering together and doing everything we can to start changing that.
Abby, come back soon. Thank you.
Anytime.
All right. That's evil, right?